Cheers. Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I'm Matt Conrad.
And I'm Micah Brown.
Micah Brown. There you go. All right. Coach Micah Brown. Just for full disclosure, this is a second attempt, but here we go, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, all right. Micah, why don't you give us, our audience a little bit of a background about you, just kind of a quick 30-second kind of biography on you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm from Florida originally. I mean, I think that's important. And when we look at where we're at now in Canada and it's cold, wet, snowy kind of weather, traveled the world. I use football as a vehicle to be able to do that. And I've been in every corner of this earth and chose to settle in Canada where my wife is from. And we wanted to have a family and start our young family there. And that's kind of where things kicked off.
Jeez, man, you got a big ring on your hand. What's that about?
Oh yeah, that's that's one of the travels right there. That was from the world champions.
Wow.
Being on the U.S. national team.
Holy smokes. Yeah. So Matt, he was your coach.
Yeah.
You guys, he doesn't look much older than you. I envisioned when you told me your coach was coming on, I thought like the guy from Rocky be coming on here today, but this guy's looking a lot younger, right? So how did Micah become your coach, Matt?
Yeah, so I mean, we're the same age. So basically, I was playing football up until about 3 years ago in the Maritime Football League. So if people who are listening don't know or aren't aware, the Maritimes has a kind of senior tackle men's football league, which is it's some pretty good caliber football for if you're not in university anymore and you're not playing pro. It's some pretty good football. So first of all, I encourage you to go out and check it out. We actually have several teams in the 3 provinces, and it's it's been pretty fun to play. And that's how I met Micah. I played for a different team for a few years, and just because of the inner workings of that team and the ownership of that time, and some of the mentality, I thought it was time to move on. And the Halifax Harbor Hawks, which is the sweater I'm wearing right now, I had to wear the old merch for this. They welcomed me on the team with open arms, and it was what a difference in discipline and coaching and structure, which was a great thing. I met a lot of great people who I still really have friendships with and still stay in touch with even long after retiring. That's one of the coolest things about football, honestly.
That's awesome.
So that's how I met. That's how I met
from your
Coach.
side. How did you end up in Halifax coaching that guy?
Yeah, I mean, my story for Halifax is kind of in and out. My initial presence in Halifax was in 2010. I was playing at St. Mary's, playing and going to school there. That was my second time at the university kind of stage. Obviously, I was in the States, playing at some pretty big schools down there. Went to the CFL, got released, found out I could play in Canada. So I ended up being at St. Mary's, and I met a lady who ended up being my wife. And so after 2010, we go away. We're in Europe and we're traveling the world. And then 2017, I retired from playing professionally. And she's from Halifax, and we felt like it was a really good place to start our young family, and that's how it came back. And then we started the team. I have a master's and 2 bachelor's degrees, and I couldn't get a job anywhere. So I started training athletes and grew that into a company called Battle X, which stands for Brown Athletics, and was football specific training and athletic development. And then I also noticed and realized that, there's a developmental gap for, that high school going into university, and then also creating some sort of a structure for guys post university that still want to play, still want to take it. When I say serious, I mean in the sense of they want to feel like they're playing football. They want to have real practice, real plays, and be able to connect with some of the younger players. And so we did that. We started the team, the Halifax Harbor Hawks, and I think in the time that we were there, we sent a couple of the players professionally over to play in Europe. We sent some to the CFL. We created kind of our a mini pro team for us, if you would say.
Cool. So
well, I know we played with we had one guy on our team who I played with for 2 years, and he ended up going pro over in Europe, and he ended up winning MVP the year after that, which is pretty freaking cool. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
So there's some high caliber athletes and football players that play in this league that people really should get out and support, kind of thing, right?
What's the age range of this league?
above 18.
That's it.
Well,
So,
actually, so that was one of the sticking points that I had to get that change. It's actually 17 plus.
oh, is it 17? Okay, there
It's
you go.
17 plus. So, a little bit on that one is the 17. If you're 17 and you're well, you all wouldn't say junior, but if you're in 11th grade and 17, you can't play provincial football. So, in essence, they would have a whole calendar year, 365 days before they could play football again. And I thought,
Mhm.
again, when you look at the lack of development, like this is an opportunity that they could come. And this is a bit of a transition year for them, right? Where they could come in. They're playing with older men. They're playing with people that have had university experience or played junior football. Some played, professionally. But they get an opportunity to play in a supportive and structured environment that they can go back, finish their last year of high school, and then again, hopefully that helps them in their transition to become a better player. And we've seen a lot of success in that. We got quite a few guys that were in that bracket of being 17, 18, um, as a 11th grader that came to play with us, and then they go back to high school and they absolutely dominated to the point that they, were able to max out their financial, um, implications from universities when it comes to their athletic award, their scholarships, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I will say that when the moment I started realizing that maybe I was playing a little too long, was we had a guy who came on the field and he came up and he said, "Are you Matt Conrad?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, I am." He was like, "Yeah," he's like, "Do you know this guy?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I know that guy." I said, I worked with him like 15 years ago." He's like, "Yeah, that's my uncle." And I was like, "Oh, maybe if I'm playing with people's nephews, maybe it's time to call it quits." But I still played for 2 more years, and realistically, like, I think the only reason I stopped really playing was because the team kind of folded up, and I didn't really know. I don't know. It felt weird going to another team. I considered it, uh, but also in the last season that I played with the Harbor Hawks, I actually tore my MCL and played through it stupidly because then I ended up after the season was over and after making it through it, playing flag in a flag league that summer postseason. I actually ended up re-injuring the knee and tearing my meniscus partially. So then I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm old. I got to go to work on Monday. Like this, let's just stop doing this. So yeah, it is what it is. But you know what? If Micah was still there, I probably would have toughed it out. But then I was kind of like, you know what? But that being said, it's real commitment. Like, Micah can tell you, like we were meeting 2 times a week, sometimes three, and then we had games, and sometimes we were traveling on weekends. It's a real commitment, and I wouldn't have been able to do this show if I was still playing football because it just would have both things would just occupied too much of the time, kind of thing. So I lost something that meant a lot to me and kind of gave birth to something else. So things work out that way, I guess. But yeah, you're a great coach, man. So it's people are lucky to have you, and people were lucky to have that. Like, it's I do want to circle back and talk about what it was like, growing up for you and everything. But I think anyone gets the opportunity to get you have as a coach, I think it's good, and the relationship and the foundation and kind of brotherhood that you've built with that team means a lot to a lot of people. So yeah, kudos to you.
That's awesome. Thank you. And it's really nice to hear that.
Yeah.
It's really nice to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's go back, rewind, and talk about young Micah and your first experience with football.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'll take you back to Florida. This is in Tampa in the middle of the summer. 6 years old. My mom takes me out to the school in the back where they have the field at, and we had our equipment that we had from the days before. This was, and I was on the Chiefs. So we call it PAL Chiefs, PAL, Police Athletic League Chiefs. So I'm a real Chiefs fan, and I take you back to '93. Not on the bandwagon because of Mahomes and my little guy looking like him. Um, but yeah, the first couple of days of practice was just running. It was basically hell on earth. It was nonstop running. It was 6 inches. It was, pounding the belly with the feet in the air. It was the push-ups. It was, the up downs. It was all of that grueling stuff. And then, once we went through a couple of days, then it was like, okay, time to break you in, right? So now we get into the hitting. You had drills like bull in the ring, and you had Oklahomas, which are now, by the way, outlawed. You cannot do those anymore. But at that time, that was the way to kind of check the ego and see who was ready and who wasn't. And I tell you what, I damn sure wasn't ready because when I got that first hit, man, I boohoo cried, and I cried the rest of practice, and I had to like practice through my tears and all the things. And my mom picks me up. She's like, hey babe, how was it? I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm crying, and I'm in the back seat, because that's what you do when you're sick. You're in the back seat with the seatbelt on. I'm sobbing, and I'm like, I don't want to play anymore. I quit. She's like, okay, you don't have to play anymore. And I'm trying to like stop crying, thinking like, okay. She said, you don't have to play anymore, but you're gonna finish this season out, and after that, if you don't want to play, then you don't have to play. But you're not gonna quit because you gave your word, and that's all you got. And it was like a lesson that again, to this day, like I carry that a lot.
Yeah.
And anytime, if something happens, you mentioned, shutting down the Harbor Hawks and shutting down Battle Axe. And, there's things like that that are bittersweet, and on the bitter side, it's hard because it's like, man, when do you know? I think about that meme. They show this, it's like a cartoon. They show a guy with a pickaxe, and he's like trying to chop through, you know, some brick or some cement. And you got one walking away, and if he had one more chip, there's a diamond there, a pot of gold for him. But you got the other guy, there's nothing there, but he's still just chopping, right? And it's kind of one of those like, when do you know you've hit that wall? When do you know, okay, you've done everything that you could, you've exhausted any, opportunity or potential. That for me, not I don't know, something in here doesn't compute that. It's always go, 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 go. Until it's not, right? So I think growing up, there was that learning how to distinguish, decipher, or have that delineating factor of like, okay, I know I've done what I needed to do, or it's time to move on, type of deal, right? So, um, yeah, there's definitely a lesson I learned at a really young age.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably never really easy to do, especially when it's things that you've created, right?
Mm,
To know when to kind of walk away. But
it's
Yeah,
tough, yeah.
you
Always
got
tough,
to do
yeah.
what you got to do what's best for your family and know what's, what. Yeah.
When did Battle Axe shut down?
officially in August 2024.
And why'd you have to shut it down, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what was the story there?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was
You
burnt
sound
out,
like a
man.
beautiful thing. What's
It
that?
was, and I still believe in the mission. I still believe in everything, and it was very much like the Hard Rocks, man. I was burnt out. We got on. We couldn't meet in person at the time, so we got on a team, meeting like this virtually, and I was really honest with everybody, me and Kelly, my wife, about like what we were going through and what was happening. I think one of the stories kind of resonated with the guys where it was right around just when COVID was kind of ending. I had a flight down to Virginia to see my oldest boy, and the whole family, we were going down there. We're on a cruise with them and all the things. And then things opened up where we could have the league and we were able to play. And I got stuck with, do I go see my son or do I stay here and coach this game? And it was like, you know what, I'm going to see my son. So I told the guys, and then it was, hey, they needed me on the call. So I'm on this cruise with my family, and I'm on the call at the same time, trying to call in the game
Mm,
at the same time. And what really hit me is when my oldest boy says, "Man, like, Dad, like, I don't even know why you came. If you were going to be on this call while we're on this cruise, you should have just stayed up there and coached."
Mm.
And like, man, I
yeah.
thank him. We talk about it, and I love being able to have a relationship where he can tell me something like
Good
that,
on
right?
him for being honest with you
Uh,
like that. I
yeah,
think that's
and
really cool cool
yeah,
for
it,
him.
it it
Yeah.
is, and it's cool for me too to know that
Speaks of what a
we
good
can.
dad you are, that you guys can talk like that, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, we could communicate like that.
Yep.
And like, man, I tell you, that hit me hard, right? And
Mhm.
I talk about being where your feet are and enjoying those moments. And that was something that I didn't do. But I couldn't put it down. And I felt like I was torn between two spots, right? And just because I'm in one place where my feet are doesn't mean I'm there mentally, right? So you got to have that alignment, and I didn't. And it got to the point where it was really time consuming. It was energy sucking. There was a lot of work in the way we ran the team. Again, I mentioned it being like a mini pro team. I think you can ask Matt or anybody that played for that organization. we prided ourselves on how we did things, and the way we did anything was the way we did everything, which is all 100%, right? So it was a lot, and I didn't have anybody to lean on. I didn't have anybody to kind of help support and pick things up for me as well. It was
Financially, it must have been tough too, right? Like, it must have been hard putting all this time in something while not earning an income by doing it, right? That's always a real tough thing. Like, it comes to a point of volunteering where when you over volunteer and you overextend yourself, you're like, well, gee, I got to feed my family too. How the heck can I do all this, right?
yeah, there was that stuff, and we looked at this as more of like a social enterprise in the sense of, being able to construct something that brings so many different people together. Matt talked about, his buddy's nephew that he's
Mm,
playing football with, like that shit never happens in really many other kind of fields, right? But you're in
Mhm.
football, and, one of the, connections I would have with the guys, I was telling them about things like, hey, you know what? We're all here for different reasons, but we all need to respect why we're here. We have younger guys that are looking to use this as a stepping stone to get film and to go higher, different levels. And then we have adults, old people, unk status like Matt, who's here to enjoy and meet
yeah.
people. But that, on either end, we can't slack off, right? If he's here just to have a good time, that's great, but you got to be committed. You still got to do everything that we're doing. And if you're here to grow, you got to understand that this guy's coming from work and has a family. He's going to do everything that he can, but you also need to support him and do everything that you can, and vice versa, right? So we had this really good balance and mix of
I
people.
love that. It's such a cool way with generational gaps and stuff and, getting through that mindset of, just working alongside somebody and you're seeing the real them because they're bringing their full selves to that game, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
working with the family and all that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah. So,
yeah.
we had that, and it was a year-round operation. And then in between all of that and around all of that, we had Battle X, where I'm training athletes and teams and developing
Wow.
coaches, and which was a lot of fun. And I'm still passionate about it, but I had to figure out a different way to kind of go about it. And as I had those things in mind, things started getting hard though. It's more than the training on the physical stuff. It's more than the mental, X's and O's, but you kind of become a bit of a, I don't know, I don't want to say therapist, but they lay it on you, the challenges that they're going through, and you got to respond in such a way to help them. You can't just, oh, F this, F that, F them, like we'll do this. No, like you got to help them, with coping mechanisms, help them learn how to get through things and how to communicate, how to stand up for themselves. And, at the end of the day, you hear so many of these stories and how they're being treated and the experience that they're having. Um, I carry that, so then here I am, now going home because that was my only outlet in a lot of these situations. And but now I'm taking it home, and now I'm taking it to my wife, and then it's like, oh, can we create something to help support these athletes and these people to be better? And then it's like, it just continues to to grow and almost become insurmountable, the amount of things you're doing, and then you get burnt out. You know what I mean? I
Right.
didn't have anybody to
Yeah.
lean on like that. So
I get
ultimately
it.
it was it,
Had happen in another something completely different from football, another world, we'll say. But yeah, I totally get the feeling of just giving your all to something that's not your 9 to 5 or not your, and then you're trying to have a family or you're trying to keep that relationship going, and it's just it just grows too much, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So yeah, that's ultimately what ended up,
yeah.
some of it happening with Battle X and Hard Rocks.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not the only people that you've coached. You've had a long, extensive list of coaching with different universities and things like that as well, though. So it's not just that you've left a long trail of people that you've coached. There's like it was like Dal, SMU, and Saint FX, is it?
Not so much with Dow. I worked with a lot of their athletes, but definitely coached at Saint X, coached at SMU,
Okay.
coaching obviously here at Bishops, coached football Ontario for a number of years, and that would be in Canada. Done some guest coaching in the CFL level, um, and even then when I had Battle X again, I talk about being where your feet are. I was kind of
Yeah.
stuck to the brick and mortar. I had opportunities to coach in the CFL and to coach, big time college football, FBS in the States and the NCAA. And, you know, those opportunities don't come all the time. And when they do, it's kind of like, do you take it? Because if you don't, you may never get it again. And, I kind of got hit with that, and I didn't take it because I felt like the work I was doing in Halifax was, took precedence for me. Um, and I also didn't want to leave my family, right? When you get in those situations, you almost come, quote unquote, kind of military family where you're, in a place for a period of time, then you're in another place, and, you kind of hop around. And I didn't want that for my family.
Yeah, people don't really realize that about the coaching world, right? Where people can see coaches like we see it every day. Like, we're in postseason now, right? And we saw coaches getting fired from NFL and hired from the NFL and all this other stuff. People don't realize that like those are people's families and lives that are now, have probably having to pack up and go somewhere kind of thing, right? Like you said, like almost military style, where you're just like, go where the next coaching job is. And sometimes it's not going to be in the same city, right?
Not only as a coach too, like around the world as a player, Matt. Your notes here: Germany, Finland, Switzerland, Poland, Italy. You played in all of these places, eh? France. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I always think of football as such an American thing. To be honest with you, I don't think of it as a world thing. I just in my little brain, right? Like, what was it like playing football in Germany?
Oh man, loved it. Loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
all of Europe was absolutely great. Fun fact for you, there's more college football on the island of Japan than there is in the US.
What?
Yeah. And they play really good
Wow.
football. But being in these different countries, man, like it was an experience, and it was awesome. Like I learned to speak German. My wife and I
Same
speak German.
same
We did a
game, like same American football.
same American football.
They're not playing that CFL game over there, are they? No?
No, not the CFL
Okay,
game,
right.
which I absolutely love, but
I'm just
it's
joking.
it's American football, right? College rules,
American
and
football.
you know,
Wow.
yeah, it's really
No
cool,
idea.
and each place is different, it's unique in the sense of like something that I think I caught on to is like each country, how they're known as a culture, you get that same kind of feeling on the field. So, I look at Poland, for example. Man, Poland, I think, was probably the most physical league I've played in outside of playing arena football. Finland was the most technical game that I've played in. Like they were extremely
Okay.
precise. Japan, extremely disciplined. Like, you could go games without seeing a penalty flag. You get into
Wow.
Germany, you get a mix of the physicality and the finesse and tactical. You go down to Austria, I mean, they are tactical and finesse. Like when I was playing in Italy, it was very, what's a nice way, passionate. You know what I mean? It was passionate football. So,
Cool.
and in Switzerland, it was kind of the opposite. It was a lot of fun, but it was very passive,
What a
would be
Rolodex
another
you're
way.
building for strategy, man. Like, holy smokes.
Oh,
Like, to
yeah.
think that you've been all around and you've seen all these different ways the game can be interpreted. You can really master that to learn how to conquer an opponent, right? It's like
Yeah. I
MMA
mean,
almost, like, in the
Well,
football
and
world.
and it just I'll have to put it here, like we are talking to a Hall of Famer actually in Europe.
Oh, yeah?
He
Right
he's
on.
in
yeah.
he's in the Hall of Fame actually,
Oh,
Football Hall of
cool.
Fame in Europe.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks.
so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. What is it?
Yeah.
It's something like you have like what is it? 7 titles, 7 championships? Is that what it is?
8.
8. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, love Tom Brady, but I got him beat on this one. I mean, obviously his are on a far bigger stage, but I mean, a championship is a championship no matter where it's at. They're
Yeah.
hard to come by at any and every level. So
Mhm.
it's something to definitely take pride in and really cherish, right?
100%.
Yes.
You can say you're a global champ. Brady can't say that. He's only played in one country.
That's a great one. That's a
You gotta hold on to that.
global champ.
Global
Like that.
champ,
Yeah.
that's it. That's right.
That's how we're gonna
Hey, like
introduce this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. The global
as
champ.
much as the NFL wants to say that, the Super Bowl are world champions, I don't know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I mean, just because
Yeah.
they are growing, I will say that they're playing, what is it, like something like 8 international games now.
Oh,
So
really? Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's what the 17th game comes in, which actually I think is also gonna change. I believe they're gonna go to 18 game season. They're gonna cut
oh,
out one in the preseason, and every team will have an opportunity to play a game internationally.
yeah.
It's a cool idea. I think it's great
Yeah.
for the sport. Yep.
Just goes to show you how fast the sport is growing. I mean, listen, I'm a Canadian, and obviously Canada is known for hockey, and I love hockey, don't get me wrong, but football has kind of always really been the sport that has called me for many reasons though. I mean, like, it's a chess game played with titans,
Yeah.
and you have the other thing that I really like about it is, from my perspective, I find it's a more all welcoming sport. It's one of those things where, and I'm sure Micah, you can probably say that the uh, the culture in the US is probably could get pretty toxic, similar to how it can get toxic with hockey here in Canada. But my experience is it wasn't that way. The other thing too is, like, all body types are welcomed in football. You don't just have to be the absolute athlete in shape guy who's on ice, who or basketball, like you have to be 6'5" or whatever, or at least jump a bunch or whatever. And things like that, where it's like we have guys who weigh 400 pounds and we have guys that weigh 165, right?
Mhm.
And they all have a role. They have a way to fit into football. It's the most welcoming sport that I've ever encountered because of that.
You know, when people talk about, sports being inclusive, like, it's very understandable. But, basically what you're saying, Matt, too, is, you look at these other sports, you look at soccer, you look at volleyball, you look at basketball, you look at hockey, you look at any of these other sports, pretty much the same kind of a player,
Yeah.
and it's a skill-based sport, right? If you want to be good at basketball, if you dribble more and shoot more, you're probably going to be pretty good, right? Same in hockey. You want to become a better hockey player. You handle the puck more. You skate more. You shoot more. Now
Mhm.
you have some that are better at defending. You have some being better skilled when it comes to being able to get the puck into the net. You have those kind of variances, but you got to be able to put the ball in the net, the puck in the net, put the ball over the net. You got the same skill sets. Everybody's doing the exact same thing, right? Whereas in football, there's so many different positions and so many different variables per position. For example, if we just look at a quarterback, you can have a tall quarterback, a short quarterback, a wide one, a thin one, and any combination of those. You can have a quarterback that's a runner, one that's a thrower, one that's both. And even with the thrower, you have some that have a strong arm, some that don't. You have some that are really accurate, some aren't. But being able to make, have a spot for them and design a system to their strength and their skill set is like the other part of the beauty of like this chess game, right? Which again, when you talk about being an inclusive sport, we're seeing it now with flag football and how that's exploding. But even with the flag, you have some limitations. It's starting. That's more of a basketball kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to run, you catch, and you could defend. Well, you'll probably be pretty good at flag football.
Yeah.
You have your eyes on the Olympics?
Say again?
Coming out of retirement for the Olympics or
Oh
what?
man, listen, no. And if I did, you know what? I would actually try to play for Canada
There you go. Okay,
instead of
yeah,
the
yeah.
U.S. That would be pretty cool. But I'm good where I'm at, man. I had a good career and I enjoyed him, and
Yeah.
I'm all
Yeah.
right.
Sounds like you did to me. My gosh. Like when you go and I mean, there's another great thing Matt had to ask here, like transitioning, you went from player to thinker, you went from student of the game to now like a coach. And you've got all this world data that you've kind of collected going all around the world. So like in your opinion, whether you want to make this a quick hot take or really take the next 20 minutes to explain, it's up to you. But like what data do you think matters the most in football?
You're literally talking to a geek. I love data. So
Okay, cool. I love
sport
the
analysis.
question here that Matt put there, so I had to ask it. I was like, "That's a great
Yeah, I
question."
mean, there's
Yeah.
so much there's so many data fields in football that it all kind of just depends on how you're looking at it. But I really enjoy, I'm still a student of the game even as a coach, and I was a very cerebral player. I really enjoy the chess match. I really enjoy the teaching aspect. I really enjoy hyper defining things, being able to break things down. What does this mean? What's this terminology? And how do you execute it? And then when do you execute it? And then now we get into the tools of like what you can use to be better and more efficient at executing it, right? And taking that from a micro level and that hyper definition to the bigger macro and the entire schematic, and then ultimately in the game But I mean, when you ask that question, man, that's a loaded question. Like, are we looking at this as like an opponent scout? Or are we looking at this as a, you know, as a fan trying to, watch and enjoy and interpret the game?
So this is another thing that I believe, and you know what, people, other big fans of other sports might have, might disagree with me, but obviously I'm biased towards football, but I think coaching has the biggest impact in football than any other sport there is. We see it all, time and time again, that even NFL caliber coaches struggle when it comes to clock management, when it comes to, you know, when to start running the ball and when to start throwing the ball, right? It's things like that so I guess for me, it's like, how do you as a coach take the data and then use it to kind of get your team ready? And
So you're talking
so
like game time, just
yeah,
game
but I
Like
mean,
time.
game planning.
some of it's
Like game
game
planning.
planning, yeah, like,
Yeah, game planning. Okay.
it's a whole thing. I think people who don't, because you get the saying all the time, it's like, "Oh, football, stupid football," but it's not.
Listen, Matt, I don't mean to cut you off, but you done hit a pain point. Let me tell you. So
Mm,
this is something, being a coordinator or a head coach of a football team, you are essentially and can run a Fortune 500 company. You are doing everything that these companies want in a CEO. You talk about, I mean, if we go down a list of like skill sets that you would need when it comes to managing people, presentations, building reports, project management, any of these things, and so much more. There's so much there just in the managerial side, and not even including the workload side. So, we when you talk about like how do we do this, when you look into the business side and they talk about SWOT analysis, right? We're doing the
mm,
same thing, right? And building reports. So now we're also looking at what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what's our opponent's strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are their tendencies, what are ours, how do these things match up? So we take this information in and we analyze what they're doing. For example, let's say we're on offense, we look at a defense, we want to know when we line up, we present a formation, how many people we have on the side or whatever. What's the reaction of the defense? Do they give us just one reaction? Do they give us one and two, or do they give us a 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B? Like, what are the options that we're going to see when we're lined up like this? And then if we move somebody, what happens to that defensive structure? Do they bring somebody with us? Do they bump people over? Do they bring another person down? So now we get into the point of like, how can we manipulate them? And then based off of that, now we're looking at, okay, what are they good at? You know, um, who are their stronger players? What coverages do they like? What kind of pressures or blitzes do they like bringing? Um, and then you get into even deeper stuff. Now it's like based on down and distance. Is it P and 10 or first and 10? P being in possession, after a terminal down or transition turnover of the ball. Is it you know the mid game? Second and mid being 4 to 7. Um, is it short game, 2 to 3? Is it, goal line? Is it, then you get into like now where they're at on the field because the way a team, you know, performs being what we call backed up, meaning their back is to their end zone and they have the field to drive versus being in the middle of the field versus being what we would call like the fringe, where they're in that kind of field goal range or in the red zone area. How do they how do they act and move according to where they're at on the field? Then pair that with the down and distance. So the situation, how much time is on the clock. Then you get into personnel, who do they like having on the field? And when they have these people on the field, what are they like doing with those people? If they bring in a Travis Kelsey, is he a guy that just blocks? Or is he a guy that runs routes and catches the ball? Does he do both? Which one is he
Travis
better
Kelsey
at?
doesn't block.
Well, exactly. There you go. Travis Kelsey ain't blocking. So we know he comes in, they're going to throw the ball, but they bring in the other tight end. He's more or less going to be the guy that blocks, right? So
Right.
it's being able to figure out these things, but from the defensive side or the offensive side, depending on the side of the ball you are, construct their identity. And then now it's like, okay, based on their identity, here's what we can attack, and here's how we can attack it with who we have, how we can dress things up, how we can disguise things, protect things, and being able to build plays off of that. So, I mean, and when you go through all of that, there's scripting, there's reporting. We run reports, we run multiple reports daily. We have multiple presentations daily. We have multiple, you could say, board meetings daily. This is like, again, if people could spend a day or even a week with, a coach at a university level or higher, like it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. And it's really cool, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot. You even get into like some of the things, engineers use video or some sort of drawing tool and how precise and accurate these drawing tools are. We use those as well.
Hmm.
You know what?
Well,
So like you listen to that kind of like detailed rant of all the different things that go into the game, into one game, into the thought process of the game. And this is what I find, and this is what I love about football is like you hear the common complaint about how like little action football actually has. But here's the thing. When you understand the game of football, a whole bunch is going on before the ball is snapped. And when you're looking at it and when they're lining up and they're kind of moving around the pieces and everything, anyone understands the game, that's action to us. Like that is action. You're sitting there watching and you're like, oh, look, this guy's now here. I bet you this is where he's going. It's like, watch, they're targeting that guy. They're going to, this is all of that goes into the guessing game of trying to read the offense and the defense. And that's part of the fun when you understand the game. But everyone thinks the 7 to 10 seconds that happens after the ball is snapped is the action. And it's really not. Right.
No, yeah.
And I mean, and then on top of that, the really cool thing about it is like understanding how to manage a game, right? I'm a Patriots fan, second generation Patriots fan, so I'm not on a bandwagon either, right? And it's one of those things where like I just watched a Patriots game where they had a 9-minute drive and didn't score. That is a successful drive. When you're in the lead, that's exactly what you want. I mean, you want to score, obviously. Like that's obviously the cherry on top. But if you can kill 9 minutes in a game while you had possession of the ball and you have the lead, that is a successful drive, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
People might look at it and they might go, "Oh, they didn't score. They didn't get any points on the board. That's, what's that?" It's like what that is almost a quarter gone and they have the lead,
Mhm.
right? Right? It's clock management seems to be also like, and I don't know, Mikey, you might disagree with me, but clock management seems to be something that NFL coaches struggle with still. It's a hard thing to know when to do it and like, when to run the ball and when not to. I actually think during the Texans Patriots game, I think they actually started running the ball all the time, like too frequently, too soon in the game. When I was watching it, I was like, they're trying to they're running they're running the ball like they think the game is almost over, and it's not, kind of thing. It was still like 4 minutes left in the third, and it's like there's
Mhm.
a lot of football left, and you don't have that much of a lead. Get two scores on the board and start doing that kind of thing, right? Yeah. So I don't know. This is the game. This is the cool thing about it, right? It's this is the thing. I could talk about it all day too. But I just know that I know you're a data guy. I know you like to take that thing, and I like talking football. So maybe some of our casual listeners who are tuning in might be like, this is way too much football talk. But I don't know. I'm also trying to sell it to people because I mean it's a great game. It's all welcoming, and if people like gave it a fair shot, I think they'd love it a lot more than they would even really realize. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, before I guess we move on, you had mentioned something at the very beginning of that, and you said, this, dumb football players, and I think if again, if I could say anything about like the level of intellect that you have to have for this game, it's different than any other sport that's out there. The amount of verbiage, even we speak our own language,
Mm,
literally.
yeah.
We have our own culture. We have like it's very different. You get into a game or you're on a team and you come in and you have a playbook that's 400 and something pages, right? Full of information that you have to know. Um, some people could say memorize. I'm more on the side of like understanding the concepts, and then you'll be, better in that aspect. But like terminology and like we call a play, and it's just like like the verbiage, and sometimes it could be very long play calls, and other times it can be something short and more implicit. But there's still a lot of information in there, and when people can understand that or kind of see that, then they would get a much better appreciation for football as a whole and the athletes themselves.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of naturally kind of rolls into the next thing in which that I wanted to talk about is like along with the coaching and mentoring and the great things that kind of come along with football, but you've really outside of just like having a family here, you've really kind of laid roots because you've done a lot for the community and some and our youth in Halifax with, you know, the elite flag, like stuff that you were putting on and a lot of the coaching you were going on. Like, why don't you talk a little bit about what it means to kind of be that guy for youth and giving them a an outlet.
Yeah, I mean that was a branch from Battle X. Battle X again was more one-on-one small group, and again being able to have a holistic approach to the sport and the sport itself. Again, it was more than training. It was more than the X's and O's. There was leadership development in there. There was uh, personal development, wrapped up in there. There was a lot, right? Um, but then it was like, okay, how can I reach more of these athletes? Because there's only so many days or so much time in a day. I can only have so many athletes at a time. But how can I create something that can reach more and impact more of these athletes? And that's where Elite Eight came in. So Elite Eight is basically a passing league. So everything you see in football when they're throwing the football is basically something that we created into a league. But more than just a play. At the time, I didn't really care for creating something for athletes to just play. For me, playing and not knowing what I'm doing is not fun. And I also wanted this as a developmental piece. So, this was something where if they can learn and understand these concepts and what's happening, that they can take this with them in their transition to the university level or even at their high school or minor where they can just be better, right? And so I finally put together a way of having this league play that's developmental. So, for example, we had cards, we would show pictures, before every play for offense and defense that explained exactly what they were doing, what these routes were, what the concept names were, how deep they had to go, what they had to do versus certain coverages. If you're on the defensive side, what your responsibility is, what's your progression, where are your eyes going, how do you get there? And, we were able to create basically a developmental camp prior to the league starting. It was all kind of in one. So they would come in, we'd have a bit of a combine to teach them, the combine movements and events. Then we transitioned from that into we call the install. So we talked about, well, before the install, we actually did skills camp. So now we taught them all the movements for offense and defense. Everybody did both sides. Then we got into the install where everybody did both sides. So even if you were playing quarterback, you had experience on the defensive side of the ball in a coverage, in different coverages. So now as a quarterback, you go back to offense, you now have a better understanding of when this coverage is called or when you see this coverage, what they're trying to do with that. Um, so we did that for all of the positions. Um, and then we went into a true, side of the ball kind of install where if you were a quarterback or a receiver, you just did that. We worked on concepts. If you were a defender, we worked just on your coverages. We had a mock game. We had teams made, and then it was league play with the coaches having the cards for each of the plays. So it was extremely beneficial. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of great action. It was extremely competitive, and when you can get something that's competitive, fun, and developmental, those three things typically aren't in the same sentence when you're talking about a league, right? Typically if you're in something that's developmental, it's not really competitive or it's not fun, right? Or if you're in a fun league, well, it's not developmental or it's not competitive. Or if you're in a competitive league, it's not fun or it's not developmental. So to be able to have all three of those indicators being hit was really cool. And then the amount of athletes that we had that went on to continue playing high school and did really well. And then those that went on to the university level and got there and was like, hey, I actually know this stuff. And they've learned a lot of it from being with us was really cool. And I think it was really eye opening. And you never know. It's like when you go to the gym, right? And you're lifting weights and you're doing all this thing. You never know when it's going to show until you realize that it actually showed. that consistency, that time, that
I'm
effort that you
42. It
put
still
in.
hasn't showed yet, man.
Right?
Well, I'll keep going though. One day I'll be like,
One day,
there you
right?
go.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just you gotta stick with it, right? And then
yeah,
one
yeah.
day it'll be there. So, to see those athletes get that aha moment is also, obviously a lot of fun, right? So, um, yeah, and then it went from that, branched from that into, realizing that like I wanted to be able to help coaches. Coaches are going to have more reach and more impact on the players that they have, and I also identified a gap in coaching development. It's not a regulated industry, so people are just learning from others or trying to figure it out on their own. So if I could have, for me, if I was able to provide some sort of structure and guidelines on, the coaching philosophies in addition to the schematics and all that kind of stuff, that's what I wanted to do, and I did, and I found that to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And
Good answer.
on top of that too, because I mean, one thing I wanted to cover off is like why representation matters. So I mean, you've done like work with like free like football camps and for like black Nova Scotian communities, and yeah, you've worked with some like black wellness and things like that. So like, how did it, like why did that matter to you to kind of do that stuff here in Nova Scotia?
Well, because that's me, and I feel that there's Black Wellness Code, BWC, the Black communities out there, the Indigenous communities, and even Halifax as a whole, Halifax, Dartmouth, the whole HRM, really accepted me as somebody like if I was one of theirs, which I'm forever grateful for. But representation does matter. But I think good and quality representation matters even more. You can't just have a spot for a Black person and they're not good enough, right? But they're there, that doesn't look good for us as the Blacks, right? But being able to be there and show them like, hey, you can come from these situations and you can do something positive with it. You know, we have to be great just to be considered good. And that sometimes is an unfortunate truth, but
Yeah,
it's things that I currently live that I have to be that way. I have to be a certain way because I don't have the space to slack, and I can't give anybody that excuse. I'm damn sure not going to give myself that excuse, but um, it's something that obviously develops character and develops resilience, and being able to keep putting one foot in front of the other is it's hard. It's hard, and it's a lot harder when things are stacked up against you, and or you don't have the resources or the opportunity to be able to do those things. So again, being able to go in those communities and say, "Hey, here's another option for you. Hey, you have somebody that has your back." It's
yeah,
hard to
Yeah.
reach out. It's hard to ask for help, and I'm that's something I'm literally going through right now. I had a call earlier today with a buddy of mine that I was like, "Hey, man, like I need to lean on you. Like I actually need some help." And I've always been the one people came to. And again, I didn't have, or at least didn't think or know that I had somebody that I could lean on. And like, man, I literally broke down crying, asking for help because it was
yeah,
the first time I like actually had to do it. And like, man, what a fucking relief knowing that somebody says, "Hey, man, you can lean on me. I got your back." Like
yeah, yeah,
that's cool, and it's something you mentioned earlier, Matt. And that's something that I absolutely love about football, and it's something I miss. And not even just football. I think any sports, but throwing touchdowns and all that stuff is cool. But the things I miss is being in the huddle with the guys during crunch time, being in the
yeah,
locker room with the guys, being in the weight room with the guys. Going through that grind, when you share life experiences and tough experiences with people and you overcome them, those are people that end up being like lifelong friends, right?
yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
couldn't echo that. Yeah, anymore.
You're good at this, Micah. You're answering good questions, man. We're throwing them at you. You're just hitting them back pretty quick.
Yeah, man, throw them out, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I think, I mean, we'll move into our 10 questions here shortly, but it's like, these are kind of like the 10 rapid fire questions kind of thing. But I think like it's one of those things where it's going into some of these underrepresented communities are a big thing to show that there is something else out there that you can do to kind of, it's one of those sometimes you just need something to do, right? And to show a different way, to show a different life. I mean, I'm actually currently rewatching Friday Night Lights, and man, like such a great show. And it's just one of those things where you watch it and it just, it shows that where it's like these underrepresented communities where they think they have nothing or they think that everyone around them is pretty much giving up on them, and you have this coach that's like, "No, you got talent, and you're worth more than what your society is telling you." Right? It's important. It's really important. Yeah.
It is. And I mean, having external shots of confidence definitely helps and helps you build up that internal confidence, right? And that's something, when I talk about, my journey of growing up, I didn't know I was good. I never
Right.
thought I was actually good. I didn't know if I was fast or not. Everybody in Florida is fast, so I'm thinking I'm slow. And it wasn't honestly, until I got to college, and even then, I didn't know if I was going to play college football. I was small, I'm 5'10" quarterback, and an era where being a short, black, athletic quarterback wasn't like a thing like how it is now.
Yep.
But I realized quickly what my strengths were and the
Mhm.
things that I could control. I knew I wasn't gonna get any taller. I wasn't gonna get much bigger. I could only get as fast as I could or as strong as I could. But the one thing I knew that couldn't be tapped was how much I understood
Mhm.
when it comes to processing. So my competition, I literally just outsmarted and outwilled my competition. That was it. You know.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, for coaches that this is their livelihood, they want production. So if you're scoring touchdowns and winning games, that's all they kind of care about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So for me, it was like I don't care who this guy is, who his dad was, and all this kind of stuff. If I can put the ball in these guys' hands faster, more efficient, and score more points, get more first downs, score more touchdowns, and win more ball games, that's it. Once I do that, just don't come out the game, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's kind of what that's what it was for me. So talk about being a student of the game, like this when I'm sharing this stuff with athletes and with coaches. Yes, this is coming from my lived experience, but that experience like helped perpetuate my career, man. If I Again, I'm not an impressive guy when you stand next to me. I'm like the dude next door. I'm 5'10" guy, right? But that muscle here was what
Mhm.
what made it. And then it was like, okay, from there now I can refine, my skill set to match the processing part.
Well, I mean, probably the top 10 best quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the NFL are probably the smartest quarterbacks that we've seen, realistically. They're not always the most gifted people, right? You can sit there and argue that there's a lot of some really, really great football quarterbacks that are athletically impressive, haven't won anything, right? And sometimes struggle to win. Not just you can say like you haven't won a Super Bowl, but I mean like sometimes struggle to get to the playoffs or struggle to win a playoff game. Or the smartest ones, it's you're right, that brain muscle is the one that they work the most, right?
And that's one of those skill sets that can't be evaluated. You don't see that on the film. You get that, and then you'll get all the other soft skills. You're talking about guys being physically gifted, or even also having the mental processing, but still not being able to get to a certain level of excellence. And then that comes down to the soft skills. How do you communicate with your teammates? How do you communicate with your players? How do you communicate with the coaches? And that was something that I also prided myself on, the accountability aspect. If a guy showed up to practice, I was the first one there to be like, hey, man, we got a standard here. Like, you're either here or you're not. When I used to think I was an asshole. So I went through this kind of process, as I was getting older. And, I'd reach back to some of my former teammates and coaches and be like, hey, uh, you know, I'm sorry. Like, sorry for being an asshole and blah, blah, blah. And the response I got back, man, was like absolutely unreal. And there was two movies I saw. One recently, it's slipping my mind right now, but the previous one was the Michael Jordan one.
Mm,
Um,
The documentary on Netflix?
yeah, Last Dance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing, eh?
I
amazing.
cried the entire movie
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
because
amazing. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, man, is that me? Like, obviously,
yeah.
I'm not Michael Jordan, but like, how he was sought to be like an asshole, but he just demanded excellence, and he didn't demand anything more from his teammates than he gave himself, right?
yeah,
Him, Kobe Bryant, all these cats, right? So for me, like, I had to do all the right things, and this goes back into like having to be great in order to
Great.
be considered good,
You were
and
saying,
all of
yeah,
these
yeah.
kind of things,
Yeah.
right? So in the classroom, in the community, in the weight room, like all of these things, I had to make sure I was fucking squeaky clean, because if I tried to call you out and you said, oh man, you just got drunk yesterday, man, shut up.
yeah.
what can I say, right? I can't do that. Or if I try to get on you and you tell me I was late, well, you know what I mean? My hands are tied. But if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing and I'm producing and I come at you like, hey, man, you cannot be late again. It carries weight very differently, right? So being,
That's leadership, though. You can take that into the workplace.
Like, I'm listening to this whole conversation, honestly, Micah, not as a football guy, just as I watch the game. I'll be watching the Super Bowl, and I'll just be eating. That'll be my favorite part about it, like, the food. But all the same, like, I'm listening to so many great leadership things you've said here today. Being good just to be great, or being great just to be good. Gosh, it's a hard, bitter pill to swallow, but it's so true, and I never heard it before. And it's unfortunate that it's true, right? For a lot of folks. But man, that really hits the CEO like leadership in the game when it's game time. You got to make all those quick decisions, like you're telling me today. Everything tells me today this feels like an entrepreneur show that we've done in the past in so many ways. Like where you really are carving your own path, and you're teaching young folks how to do that, man. So kudos to you. Um, I said this the first time we tried to do the episode. I'm going to say it again. Matt wanted you on our show since we started doing this podcast. You were on the wish list, and I was like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "This is my football coach and all this." Yeah, and I just think it's totally cool. I mean, it took us a long time for us to have this conversation, but I very much appreciate it. So thank you so much, Matt. Do you got anything else, or should we get to the big the
Let's
10
do
dumb
10
questions?
We're
It
going
should
10
be dumb.
questions.
They're probably going to be football questions this time because Matt wrote them. We take turns writing the questions, so I don't know what I'm going to be saying here. So probably for the most part, okay, I can understand this one. I'll kick them off, Matt.
You're doing odds? Okay, I'll do evens.
Okay, bud. And okay, so favorite European country you played in, and
Finland,
why?
Helsinki.
What was it? The
Helsinki.
ladies? What was the reason?
No, my wife was with me. It wasn't that, but like, man, Helsinki was just it was a vibe, man. Like everything that you could think about being great in Canada
Yeah.
times 10 in Helsinki, even down to the fish, the seafood, like the sushi, the salmon, the saunas, the way people enjoy life, the quality of the beer, everybody, there's no judgment there. Like
What's
you
the
are who
first
you are.
language in Helsinki?
English.
English? Oh,
I would
okay.
actually
I
I
know
would
that.
actually
I know
say
that one. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
actually say Finnish. They speak Finnish there, which is,
Yeah.
very, very different. So like if I would say hi in Finnish, it would be moi moi. But in Finland, what I found really fascinating, I remember walking down the street, like the shopping area, and I look back because I'm hearing English. I'm like, oh, who is this? And it's two Finnish people walking down the street speaking English. And I'm like, why are they doing it? And I was like, oh, I got to stop them. So this is me being outgoing. I was like, excuse me, um, are you both Finnish? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, why are y'all speaking English? They're like, it's just easier to translate in English. Or we just communicate in English instead of trying to translate some stuff in Finnish. And it's just easier. We like it better. And I found that almost everybody there was like that.
That's a chill response. I like that.
You
I
know
like
what?
that. I like how
Yeah.
relaxed that response is.
I will also say that if you pay attention to Finnish hockey players, they're the ones that you cannot hear an accent in versus
Yep.
any other country.
Really?
Yeah.
They lose their accent. They sound like North American.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Cool.
All right,
Matt,
so
number 2, buddy.
Question number 2. In your opinion, what's the hardest position to coach on the gridiron?
Defensive backs.
The most athletic guys in the field.
And I coach them currently. The quarterbacks, I don't necessarily find that hard. I mean, for me, I find it a very simple process. But from the defensive backs, they are just as intelligent, if not more intelligent than a quarterback needs to be. They have so much that they have to process from being so far away from the ball, and they are the most exposed. If they make a mistake, it's going to show, like big time, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of information from the defensive back that you have to do in addition to the physical stuff. But I would say defensive backs.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Question
So
number 3
either-
over to you.
Question number 3. I'll give you an A or a B here. You can give me either the craziest football story you can think of quickly, or the craziest game, get into the game, the crazy situation where you didn't think you were going to make it to a game on time. A or
Ooh,
B.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Okay.
do. Yeah. So give me
I
one of
didn't
those.
think I was going to make it to the game. Okay, so we were in
Yeah.
Germany. This was 2013. I was hospitalized from food. I had food poisoning. I lost
Oh,
a bunch of weight. I'm in the
what you ate?
hospital in Germany with an IV in my arm.
What you eat?
Some bad chicken wings
Okay, okay.
at a it was at a Mexican restaurant in Germany, and it
Eh,
was, man, I was hurting. So I'm in the hospital. I got an IV in, and we're at this position in the season where we have to win this game to make it to the playoffs. Man, and they're getting ready. We're getting ready to go into, obviously it's going into the weekend. So doctors don't work on the weekend, so they would have kept me there. So my wife is there, me and Kelly, and I'm just like what's gonna happen? So she's Googling how to take this IV out because we didn't know you could just pull it out. So she's Googling it, like YouTubing it. So we're like, fuck it. So she had my bags packed. She helps me. She takes the IV out. We sneak out the hospital. We hop on the bus. Literally, as it was taking off, 7 hour bus ride down to Munich. Excuse me, Saarbrücken or Saarlouis, and go down there. Again, I'm on the bus. I'm like dying profusely, sweating, cold sweats, all the things. We get there. It's hot now, but I'm like freezing. I got this jacket on, and I'm just kind of like in the stands while the game is happening, and like things aren't going too well. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, I think I might actually have to dress and suit up. So I go in the locker room at halftime. We come out. I come out. I didn't even have a warm up. We go in. I get in there for like 4 plays. We had 3 touchdowns. I get out in the fourth quarter. The other guy goes back in and we win the game. And that was it. So
Wow.
that
Good story.
was crazy.
Amazing.
Uh, Another crazy one. Um, Playing arena football. So one of my best friends, I call him my brother. He played with me in Europe for a number of years. We started our football journey together in Odessa, West Texas, playing arena football. And arena football is played in a hockey rink. They throw
Mm.
turf over, kind of like the how they do with the Thunderbirds with the lacrosse.
Yeah.
There, they throw turf on top of the ice. They got pads on the walls, and they got the slack nets up to for the rebound for the ball to come off the net. Right. So uh, when you're throwing an arena, it's very different. So Matt, you'd understand this. You know what a post route is.
Yeah.
Throw a post route, you throw it on the same side the guy is. Well, in arena football, you throw the post on the opposite side of the rink
Okay.
because the way the rink is, the dimensions,
Yeah.
right? So you're throwing it over here, and he has to go get it. So anyway, I take a drop back, I let the ball go. It's a post route, and my guy runs. He jumps up, catches it over the corner, and like the way the arena in West Texas is, the corner of the bleacher was like overhanging the roundness of the rink a bit. And man, he got folded and like my heart dropped. I'm like, I literally killed my receiver. And then the refs is looking over there and the ref throws his hands up and then the refs waving for the EMT and the ambulance to come over. We look over and then my buddy pops up. You see him kind of shake his head and then he does like some little dance and then he falls down. That was absolutely crazy.
My
And then the
God.
same guy, last story,
Yeah.
same guy, we're in Germany. This is in Germany. This one's 2014. Um, Man, I throw a dig route, which is a 15-yard in route. Throwing the ball, he catches it. As soon as he turns around, let me back up. So this is when these new helmets came out. So this was like the Rydell what's that big helmet that they got now?
Oh yeah, the one with the prevent the concussions or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
Anyway, this new helmet, super. So they sent it and they sent the wrong size. So it was a one size too big. So he had to wear it though, because the other one wasn't in. So inside they got these things where you could pump it up. So it's all inflated, to protect them. Runs this route, catches his ball, turns, and gets smacked. He gets smacked so hard, the helmet literally shoots off his head. And I'm talking about, I kid you not, this helmet went like 20 feet in the air. And you can just hear the crowd just, and then the helmet just falls and just kind of lingers. And yeah, anyway, I've never seen anything like that a day in my life. Just the helmet, just the way it just shot off his head. And he was all right. He didn't have a concussion. He had to come off the
Wow.
field for 3 plays, came back on, and did fine. So
Wow.
those are my three kind of crazy
Wow.
stories.
Great.
All right. Jeez. Okay, those are good ones. So question number 4, I'm gonna give you 4 offensive positions, and I want you to assign an animal that would best suit those positions. So quarterback, receiver, running back, and O lineman.
O-line, grizzly bear, running back, a cougar, a mountain lion, a receiver, a cheetah,
Okay. Okay.
and quarterback. What's a really, really, really intelligent animal?
Octopus.
Chimpanzee, my coach said.
Chimpanzee. All right. There you go. That's
All
good.
right. Good answer. Yeah. All right. Next one. Favorite song to run on the field to? An easy one. What's something you're listening to these days when you're getting your laps in?
It's a good question. It just kind of depends on the mood. I don't know. When I was playing, I was very much slow jams, kind of R&B style. I love that. Slow down the heart rate, the tempo, and enjoyed that. Then there's other times where I got one. I got one. If I was
Okay.
coming out of a tunnel and going to hit the field, the Seven Nations Army.
Oh yeah,
That's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be one.
All right. Question number 6. So, what's scarier, starting a business or having a D lineman coming at you unblocked?
Shit, a D lineman by far.
What's
All
scarier,
right.
death or starting a business? That's pretty much what that sounds like to me.
Right.
Yeah. What NFL team did you grow up cheering on, and is it the same team today? Was
The
it
Chiefs.
the
Yes.
lifetime
My
Chiefs? You
family would
told us that.
disown
Yeah.
me if I didn't say the Chiefs. My little guy Jackson, he's dubbed as Mini Mahomes.
He looks like a man. Oh my God. It's like a short version of him. It's crazy.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right. Question number 8. So, what's the most important advice someone starting a business should know? Not an easy
Make
one.
sure you're passionate. Make sure you're passionate about it.
Okay. Hey,
Like that
I,
answer.
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Great
one of
answer.
those things that people say, if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
If you're doing something you love, you're going to work even harder at it. So
Okay.
make sure you're passionate about it because it's going to
There
take
you
a
go.
lot of work.
I
I like
like that.
that.
Yeah. 100%. I don't disagree with that.
Question number
Okay.
9.
Super Bowl is February 8th, right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. So this episode is going to be coming out on February 3rd. So that's perfect. So for
Yeah.
this question, so who's going to win the Super Bowl this Sunday?
What kind of answer do I give here?
You
I
got
think
to.
it's going to be the team that can process the information and execute the fastest, the most efficient, and limiting turnovers.
We're
Who's
looking for a
next?
name, Micah. We're looking for a name.
Who's it
Yeah.
gonna
Give
be?
us a team, please. Come on, you gotta just say one team. And then we'll see if you're right Sunday. Come on, just you gotta call it
Oh, I got to
once.
sit back on that. Um,
I'll get my sports betting app out now too. So don't be wrong, please. I figure you know the game better than I do.
You know
you
what?
know what? Like, I would say, man, that's hard. Sam Darnold's awesome, but I think the Patriots might have this one, man.
No way. Okay. Let's go. You know what? I
Yeah,
was going to give you respect just for even thinking and pondering about it because everyone's like, oh, the Patriots are getting steamrolled. But respect. All right.
yeah,
Respect.
no, I
Okay.
really like the Seahawks, man. But
Thanks for answering. All right, let's see. Number
All
10,
right.
Pat.
Question number 10. So this is a little bit more serious one, but with all the chaos that's going on down south of the border, what advice that you, a American born Canadian, would like to pass on to our Canadian American listeners?
That's a heavy question, Matt.
It's a
that
heavy
is
one.
heavy. That's loaded. I
It's
don't
the
know.
last question, so we had to go heavy.
You know what? I'm circle this back to everything we've been talking about: leadership, teamwork, those sorts of things, right? Passion, being great, having a certain level of excellence. These are things that I think if we all can understand and really take in, not only will we be better countries individually, but we can be a better community together. Does it take a lot of work? Yes. And it takes accountability. People got to be able to hold their own. but we also got to be able to support one another, and we got to be able to move in the same direction. And sometimes that's parallel, and other times, that's being able to hold each other's hands. But, if we want to be better and we want to grow, we want this thing to, we want to be able to thrive as people, we got to be able to do shit the right way, and we got to be able to communicate and hold each other accountable and do it together.
I like the
Beautiful.
moving in the right direction part, 100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, moving together, right? I mean, 100%. It's sad to see. We want the Americans to be our friends. I love America. I love visiting America. I want to go back there, right? I haven't seen Nashville yet. I want to go. Or no, I've seen Nashville. I haven't seen Las Vegas yet. I wanted to. I want to do the Hunter S. Thompson thing, where you drive down the desert highway in like a convertible. I always thought that'd be really cool to try. So, but they got to make the peace down there first, right? I don't like seeing this ice stuff. It's not fun. Right, it's not the
No.
America I grew up loving. As a Canadian, we grew up loving America, right? Like and idolizing it. We want that America back again. The one that was the place where we all wanted to live and be where we grew up as Canadians, right? So hope we get that. I really do. Great answer. Great answer.
Tobin, why don't you take last call?
Yeah. So you've already helped so many.
You know what? This is this is a really good ass question. And it might not be the answer that people will be expecting. What am I still going to do to be able to help people around me and help impact them? I can't say this is a still, because this is something I've never done, really. But now I need to help myself so that way I can be there to help others. Yeah, I got to be able to do for me. I got to be able to pull myself back together. My personal development, my growth, my health, my mental health, it's all about me. And I have to say it that way. And I'm not even apologizing if it sounds selfish. If it does, it fucking does. I need to do for me so that way I can, help others and be there for others.
Bro, listen, here's the thing. They tell you in an airplane, put your air mask on before start helping other people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said about that, right? You can't help people if you're suffocating, right?
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. So cheers to that, and cheers to you,
Micah. It was an honor to meet you, man. I hope to do this in person next time, right? I don't like the Zoom calls as much, but this has been really nice getting to know you, man. So next time you're in Halifax, you got a little extra time, ring us up, and we'll see if you were right on that Super Bowl, dude.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Thank you.
And
guys.
we can end this. We'll end this on this, and we'll see if you get it. Clear eyes, full hearts.
I know this one, but I don't know.
Can't lose. Can't.
Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't.
Who's that?
That's just what they said on Friday Night Lights. That was the
Friday Night Lights.
Okay, cool.
I was about to say, I heard this.
I was going to say, don't fart. I don't want to mess it up. All right. Well, anyways, guys, cheers. Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
We're all done. That's like that. Yeah. Really nice meeting you, man. So